Abstract Expressionism is a term used to identify a movement within abstract art that was developed by American painters in the 1940s and 50s. You may recognize names such as Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, Willem de Kooning, and Clifford Still as artists of this movement. Abstract Expressionism is often characterized by gestural brushstrokes and mark making, the impression of spontaneity, and exploration of color relationships. The abstract expressionists were based mostly in New York City, and the movement also became known as the New York School. Their art was usually expressive and emotional in addition to being visually abstract. They were also highly inspired by the surrealist idea that art comes from the subconscious mind, and exploring forms of automatic writing and drawing.
There's two broad groupings within abstract expressionism. The first group are called action painters. Arguably, the most famous action painter is Jackson Pollock. You might have heard the term drip painting in reference to his most famous works. He was able to create almost complete spontaneity by putting his canvas on the ground and dancing around it. He would pour, drip, scumble, splatter, and flick pigment onto the canvas. He was known to seek non-traditional methods of painting using objects such as sticks, trowels, knives, or anything he could to build up the dense composition. Often in his work, there is no central point of focus. There's no hierarchy of elements, and a precise balance of variety and repetition makes every section of any piece equally significant. This goes against all of the traditional rules of composition and the arrangement of the elements of art according to the principles of design, which is why Pollock's drip paintings are so famous and important in art history. The second group of painters were identified as color field painters, who filled canvases with large areas of a single color. These artists were very interested in spirituality, religion, and myth, and created simple compositions with large areas of color to produce many different responses, some including contemplative or meditational. In a 1948 essay, Bernard Newman said, quote, "Instead of making cathedrals out of Christ, man, or life, we are making it out of ourselves, out of our own feelings." Mark Rothko was one of the biggest players of this group. He was very interested in creating a sublime feeling for the viewer. He often repeats this style of creating rectangles that seem to float or hover over the surface of the painting because of the layering of pigment. He would create this effect by making many layers of oil paint thinned out by turpenoid. The sensation created by the composition heightens with the chromatic effect of intense or deep color. When the viewer stares at each colored segment, they are experienced differently based on the colors around them. Despite these historic color relationships, Rothko didn't want his work to be appreciated solely for the color or the composition. Rothko said, quote, "I'm not an abstractionist. I'm only interested in expressing basic human emotions, tragedy, ecstasy, doom, and so on." Abstract expressionism is about exploring your capabilities as an artist and pushing the boundaries of what is considered art. Learning how to create abstract art can be great for any artist, no matter their preferred style, because it teaches you to be able to let go of control and explore the freedom of unconscious creation.